Afternoon, everyone. My name is Dennis Bucher. While teaching elementary school for many years, I developed a passion for teaching kids how to ride long distances. Along with our school principal, I co-founded the Ride Across California, where we led hundreds of guided rides for fifth graders and their parents. From that, I've learned a lot about the benefits of teaching them how to ride, instilling confidence, endurance, and a sense of adventure. But I've also seen the dangers of young minds on two wheels. They don't always remember the safety instructions. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce the founder of the Belmont Project, Beth Black. Her commitment to ensuring the well-being of young riders is unmatched. Beth is a member of several key cycling organizations, including the League of American Bicyclists, the California Bicycle Coalition, better known as Cal Bike, and the California Association of Bicycling Organizations. Formerly, Beth co-owned and operated Pedigo Greater Long Beach, a nationally recognized e-bike store. Although she no longer is tied to a single brand, the role allowed her to cultivate a deep understanding of the overall bike industry. Nowadays, her focus remains firmly on prioritizing safety for every kid who gets on an e-bike. This unique perspective is fueled by her professional training. Beth's background as a former teacher, combined with her credentials as a UC Irvine trained writer and social ecologist, gives her an exceptional ability to talk about today's topic. Her insights into the psychological and social factors that influence teen behavior are crucial as we look to instill safer riding habits on our youth. Please join me in welcoming Beth Black as she shares her expertise with us today.
I just want to let you know that today's guest list was handpicked. I reached out to those that I knew would have the qualifications to understand and benefit from this program. So here are my qualifications, which are also available to see at belmontproject.com. I'll say this, my unique background allows me to do something about our e-bike problem. And yes, that's me riding an e-bike at the Long Beach Grand Prix a few years ago. Now you should know, the mission of the Belmont Project is to empower communities to master e-bike safety by developing innovative strategies that include sophisticated use of behavioral psychology. And so the Incline program is designed to help our teens improve their behavior while also treating them with the respect they deserve as young adults. With the help of the Incline program, your e-bike safety leaders will guide them with powerful behavior management techniques toward achieving their dreams safely. Just to let everyone know, I wrote this book, The Caring Parents E-Bike Survival Guide. As you can see, the book has won high praise from cycling educators such as Clint Sandusky. I wrote this because teens have been continuing to act out despite all the citations and prevailing diversion programs. And still, more is needed. It's become clear that nothing developed so far by any city has really worked. Our local leaders keep repeating basic safety education, maybe throwing in some vague threats, and then expecting kids to follow the rules just because they know them. That's why I decided to create the Incline program. Formerly titled Scared Safe, the Incline program's new name reflects its valuable opportunities for participants to learn and grow, and so rise to new heights in maturity and understanding. Through the experiences offered in this program, participants reshape their own challenging inclines, whether physical or metaphorical, into opportunities for growth and safety. We want their riding to be fun and secure. Let's move forward together, creating a positive experience for everyone on the path. And we hope they'll be inclined to share what they've learned with friends. This is the website homepage for Cycling Savvy's Teen E-Bike Training course. I must say, Cycling Savvy goes beyond the basic e-bike class, offering situational awareness that's paying attention to traffic and weather, for example. It teaches communicating better with car drivers and others. Students learn the rules of motion, such as knowing how to turn left safely on a busy street. Cycling Savvy's training, for only about $35, I have to add, is the original that takes education to another level. However, is education enough? Behavior is also key. Teen brain development is dynamic and pretty hard to fit into rigid stages. I've always thought that individual traits would make those kinds of guidelines approximate at best. However, there are some physical developmental milestones that can impact teen behavior, especially when it comes to making quick decisions on a heavy, fast-moving e-bike. Let's consider some facts. Number one, the prefrontal cortex versus the limbic system. It's a race for control. The limbic system matures earlier, and it's responsible for reward-seeking behavior and emotions. So, number two, much later, the prefrontal cortex manages decision-making, planning, and impulse control. Until then, a lot of teens and tweens have trouble making good decisions and weighing long-term consequences. Myelination is how the brain insulates nerve fibers. Myelination slowly increases as part of brain development. This will eventually help different parts of the brain communicate faster and more efficiently. In short, it will support clear thinking and faster reasoning powers. And the fourth one, neurotransmitter systems changes, means that dopamine and serotonin levels go up and down, round and round like a Ferris wheel, strongly affecting a teen's moods, motivations, and behavior. So that all adds up to this. Number one, they have increased sensitivity to rewards, especially social rewards, like getting attention and a shout out for performing stunts on a public street. Peer influence and risk-taking behaviors start here. That limbic system, winning the race, is how risk-taking is powered by impulsive behavior. Their hormone levels are feeding passionate emotions and mood swings that intensify their perception of fun and pleasure at questionable events like street takeovers. The good news is, eventually, early 20s for most, they'll come down to earth, and those cognitive abilities will improve. So problem solving and abstract thinking can become more habitual. In the meantime, it's up to us to point them in a safer direction. We must offer authentic truths that, well, for one, help them remember what they might have forgotten. These students were photographed leaving their local middle school for the day. They rode out of the school parking lot like this. Note, the owner of this e-bike took the basic safety course to park at the school. Now, maybe these kids simply forgot what they'd been told. That kind of behavior is unintentionally reckless and dangerous, well, to themselves mostly. They might forget their helmet, or maybe they'll invite a friend or two to hop on for a ride. And sometimes it is intentional. Here's a screen capture of a YouTube video where a rider is rewarded with attention for performing a power wheelie on the wrong side of the street. Here's one of the adults who are rewarding poor behavior in minors. Meet Sir Ronster. This guy never shows his face. I'm sure you can guess why. I had to share this screenshot too. I believe that branding with a skull says, risk is fun. Let's have kids become Pee-wee Hells Angels. This is Shreddy again. Notice that Super 73 has a branded van at his ride. This particular ride was at the Port of Los Angeles. There's a reason this scene was staged for the video. Show a provocative anti-hero, some bikes, and the branded van. Throw in some happy onlookers, and wow, you've got an influencer. Shreddy and his friends are all social media influencers. I found them on YouTube, though they're very active on Instagram too. Now, do kids really understand the greed behind this? Do they realize that the hormonal pleasure they feel over a specific bike brand has been calculated by a marketing firm? This industry is literally rolling in dough, thanks to teen brains. So, can we simply shut them down, attack this at its source? Well, I found an online list of the top 40 social media e-bike influencers. This is just a sampling that shows the branding, the stunts on the streets, the anti-hero attitude, and for some reason, one guy riding straight up to an ATM. But wait, I got down to the bottom of that list, and that list of 40 suddenly became 150. And that's probably not all of them. We're likely facing hundreds, if not thousands, of social media influencers with large and growing audiences. So, what can we do about this? First, by understanding the dynamics of influence and how peers help a teen shape their social identity, which affects what they believe and value and how they conduct themselves. I believe that peer pressure is fueling the popularity of those influencers. And in return, those influencers are fueling changes in teen behavior. It's why so many kids around the world are suddenly popping power wheelies. When nearly 2 million fans are following Sir Ronster, you know there has to be some popularity pressure going on. In my town, teens ride in packs and wheelie across busy intersections together. Have you seen that? The good news is we have tools to combat peer pressure. I like some techniques offered by a school of behavioral psychology called social learning theory. This school of behavioral psychology is all about learning through watching others. Through speakers and activities in the incline program, teens will have the chance to see strong positive role models who talk about how they resisted peer pressure. Learning about how someone handled a difficult interpersonal situation gives a clear example to follow. And maybe some kids will use it as fuel for safer kinds of flight. And we actually have an entire psychological toolbox, the many schools of thought in behavioral psychology. Let's quickly review a few more. Number one, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, helps kids think through problems supported by behavioral techniques so they can recognize and change negative thought patterns. Patterns like, I won't have any friends if I don't do what they're doing. And then there's the classic. The classic behavior modification is commonly used in classrooms with strategies like token economies, timeouts, and behavior contracts. Most of my teacher training was in this. Imagine now a token economy of e-bike competitions with prizes and awards. Participants must sign a behavior contract to compete. They're given a timeout or even banned from competing if cited again for misconduct on public streets. And number 3, running silently in support of our other goals, our other tools. Functional Behavioral Assessment, FBA, uses strategies to identify how kids are served by their problem behaviors. What do they get out of it? By understanding the causes and contexts, like street takeovers, we can come up with interventions tailored to help the kids achieve more positive conduct. I have to say, a lot of cities are overlooking this last one. But once you see the social and psychological rewards being used by marketing professionals to fill the vacuum teen riders have experienced in our communities, you can counteract them with strategic initiatives that include psychology. The manufacturer's marketing teams are using a behavior management toolbox, much like this. We should too. If it isn't already clear, the Incline program isn't just about fixing aggressive behavior. These tools can also serve kids who are simply not prioritizing safety. They keep forgetting safety rules by using tools like positive reinforcement and fostering peer mentorship. We tap into the power of rewards and influence to promote safe conduct. Community involvement amplifies these efforts by creating a consistent and supportive environment. And I'm seeing some cities begin to use social media in this way. Our messaging could use a professional polish, however, to influence effectively. A light touch backed by reality is needed. Too much artificial friendliness can backfire as teens savagely critique any misstep. We must allow the messengers, such as first responders, to be authentic in what they say for a positive response. Here are a few of our tools. The Belmont Project can help you deliver this to your community. It boils down to storytelling and real-life examples, community involvement, incentives, media literacy education, otherwise known as reading the truths between the rides, and simulation-based learning, also called role play. These are indeed powerful tools. So, how do we put it all together? The Incline program is a modular, customizable package that can be assembled to suit every city's needs. Once these teens have been through additional safety education, it's time to focus on behavior. Most diversion programs last about 2 hours. In that time, you can create effective change with the program's facilitator's guide and participants' workbooks. Now, the 3 parts of every diversion event are presentations, discussions, and follow-up activities. Everyone has a story to share. Now, facilitators, which can be traffic officers, educators, civic leaders, or others, they will arrange and introduce one or more guest speakers. The facilitator's guide offers instructions on how to do that. Each speaker will probably only need a few minutes to share their story and information. Even with multiple speakers, this part can be expected to take about an hour, maybe less. We recommend planning for about 15 minutes for a final Q&A from all participants, which also means parents. A lot of parents will be more interested in managing their teens' riding when they hear some of the truths from an insurance professional or lawyer on the real personal, financial, and legal losses that can start with an accident. Who is chosen to present will be the work of those local facilitators. It's why the Facilitator's Guide also offers information on how to find and contact strong presenters. But the truth is, even parents can be effective presenters. Watch the light bulb go on as a local adult describes what it was like growing up without staring at screens on every car ride. How they learned a lot simply by observing their own parents driving and what they saw by looking out the window. And also how they've seen traffic worsen over the years. Like everyone, kids sometimes don't know what they don't know. A presentation like this can open their eyes. Once teens and parents have heard the presenters, learned some facts, and considered some consequences, they are then asked to work in pairs or small groups of mixed adults and kids. Their task is to discuss what they have heard and how it might relate to their own experiences. Speaking about it with others, defending ideas, can spark further thought on prior beliefs. The point is to model calm discussion while inspiring deeper conversations later. These experiences can help teens develop a more mature idea of safe behavior. And if the conversation stalls, facilitators might ask questions such as, how long did you parents use car seats for your children when they were infants? And how would you react if your child wanted to stop using seat belts now? And is that concern for safety any different when they're on an e-bike? Now that participants have heard, seen, and discussed the concepts, they're asked to put their thoughts into actions, taking up perhaps the final half hour or more of the diversion experience. This portion may have the deepest impact on their thinking and behavior, as they must now generate something new from their increased awareness. The participants' workbook offers multiple assignment options. Today, we're going to walk through one of those assignments, a letter to loved ones. You should have received an email with a link to download this assignment for today's sample exercise. If you don't have it, simply go to belmontproject.com after we finish and click the Incline tab at the top. Then scroll down to the bottom of the page and click the blue button. If it doesn't work, email me and we'll get you a copy after the program. Meanwhile, what we're doing should be clear. Simply follow along with my verbal instructions. If you have a paper and pen, that will help. Before we experience that exercise, this is to give you an idea of what's in the facilitator's guide on the left and how it relates to what's in the participant's workbook on the right. For the exercise shown here, the facilitator will help to instill some reflection on what happened. They speak without having to lecture, often uselessly, at the teen, and instead work with them to explore more mature ways of thinking. Much like teachers' guides used in classrooms, this guide, again shown on the left, will display what's on the participants page, plus will offer some guidance on how to assign the task and ways to work through it. The workbook on the right has simpler language and is broken down into steps. Now, this isn't a math class with right answers, Often, it's only a chance to spark thinking. If your participant isn't responding positively to the assignment, they may need to try another assignment or simply give them respectful, authentic food for thought. As you know, there's often a lot going on in kids' lives that can make them act out in these situations. It can be useful to model calm discussion. And this is only one option for a follow-up assignment. There are several different assignments, as I said, and since it's modular, the facilitator selects one or two, depending on time allowed, and instructs the participants to flip to that page in their workbook. For the assignment we're trying today, a letter to loved ones, each teen must work with their parent or guardian in attendance. This assignment is not about death, but about what should happen if they fall into a persistent vegetative state. Remember, the goal here is to not romanticize the risks or to have kids work out a set in stone plan, but to consider a reality behind risky riding. Let's do a quick version of this just to give you an idea of how it works. So for the moment, imagine that you're a participating teen who has heard one or more guest speakers, and you've talked about what you heard. Now you have 3 steps to follow. Step 1, take a moment to think about what you'd want your family and friends to do in the event you can no longer move or speak. Should you be cared for at home, at a facility? Should family friends help with your physical therapy? Think about how your family could pay for the medical bills and legal bills. I'll give you a minute to think about it. Okay, now step 2. This is where the teen discusses those thoughts with their participating adult. Take a moment and try to imagine how that conversation might go for you and your parent if you were a teen in this situation. I'll give you a moment. Okay, step 3, the final step. Now you'll write a letter describing what happened in the accident and outlining your wishes. Now, it's not a real accident. This is the one that you're thinking of for your letter, for the assignment. But you're going to talk about it in the story. You're going to write about it, and you're going to outline your wishes. It could be your final communication with loved ones. Remember, this isn't a binding notice, only an exercise to spark further thought and discussions. But write a brief letter to loved ones describing what happened and what you want done about family finances, your siblings, your friends, and your care. Now, because we want to support the teen's agency, each has the option to share this with their parent or guardian at the end. But the facilitator will strongly recommend it. Alternatively, the teens may be offered the opportunity to take home a capstone assignment, creating something larger and more expressive, such as a video or flyer. You might even consider assigning it for a citywide competition. I recommend offering rewards for participating. The project could be a message to other kids supporting safe riding, or it could advocate to cities for safer riding spaces, such as pump tracks and e-motocross. Participants in this project will face several learning objectives: how to advocate for a city project, how to reach out to other families with a new idea, how to create a video advocating for safety or for safe spaces and training facilities, how to share that video widely, how to submit it to the facilitator and take part in any competition. Mostly, how to work toward a positive goal for that much desired recognition as a social reward. I know you're experiencing your own peer pressure from community members who want this situation fixed. I feel your pain. Help is on the way very soon. Launching this year, the Incline program is the first of its kind. It will provide your city with a prepared set of experiences that will supercharge your diversion program. The facilitator's guide coaches the leader through setup to final assessment. Everything they and you need to protect kids from the influences of peer pressure and a frankly greedy industry. The kids' workbook can be theirs to keep if you want, as they take it home and reflect on what they've learned. Maybe even looking for other assignments to spark deeper thinking. Give them your contact info and let them reach out to ask questions. Now, just a note, simply banning behaviors is not a solution, especially when anti-hero behavior is so highly rewarded. Instead, this program provides one half of a two-part powerful solution: motivate and inspire better conduct. I know that some attendees today are seeking ways to advocate for safer spaces. While the Incline program covers motivation, we will soon help you with inspiration too. Those interested in advocating for safe spaces can start by reading the book, The Caring Parents E-Bike Survival Guide, which includes those two discussions, motivating and inspiring better conduct. 3 of today's participants, by the way, are going to receive a free ebook copy sent to their email address this evening. But really, everyone should have this book. Think about it. If parents can learn how to manage their child's riding behavior before even shopping for an e-bike, we've won the first battle. When adequately coached, parents can determine if their child is mature enough to handle the responsibilities, and they can help them to avoid the pitfalls of online influencers and peer pressure. Meanwhile, here are a few steps you can take right away. I know this looks a little bit like self-promotion, but for anyone in a city to work with the program, the city should be involved. Be sure to visit belmontproject.com to learn more about the initiatives we offer to communities like yours. Bookmark this site and check out our blog to stay updated.